Summon the Spectre. Summon the Spectre.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the SpectreVerse podcast. This is your WWE Royal Rumble 2026 post show. My name is Jared Spectre, and this is the SpectreVerse. Thank you all very much for joining me on this Saturday, wherever you may be listening from. We got a lot to cover tonight. We had a very, very good Royal Rumble show out of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia this afternoon here in the United States. Over there, it was definitely nighttime. And we're going to discuss all the things in between. We're going to talk about the outcomes. We're going to talk about the storylines going into WrestleMania. We're going to talk about certain directions for certain stars. And we're going to talk about everything that we saw tonight. I want to thank you guys once again for joining me on this Saturday evening. Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is the men's Royal Rumble winner. Predictable outcome, some would say. I would agree. It is a very predictable outcome. However, I feel as far as the storylines that they are building towards WrestleMania, this is the right outcome, especially to get the fan base talking. What we saw tonight, we saw a few stars in the making. We saw БЙБ with a great Royal Rumble performance, who was eliminated tonight by Brock Lesnar. Not sure if they're going to be setting up a match at WrestleMania or not, but if they are, that is going to be one hell of a match. Javon Evans. He looked like a stud out there. For being only 21 years old, he looked very, very, very comfortable surrounded by stars. We're going to talk about Gunther, the career killer himself that the announcers have wanted to reiterate over and over now. He retires AJ Styles. It was a very heartbreaking moment watching it, but I put this out on my Twitter, and you can follow me at JABEATS. We'll get into the plugs here in a little bit. But I put on my Twitter that match between Gunther and AJ Styles is beautiful, well-written storytelling within a wrestling match. The build didn't have to be months. All it had to be was a few weeks. The stories in them themselves, everything wrote itself. And the callbacks in that match, the brutality, the never die attitude of AJ Styles versus the colossal Gunther, seemed like everything just fell right into place. And if that is AJ Styles' final match in wrestling, man, I would say what a hell of a way to end. If he goes to AEW or TNA or whatever he does afterwards, I say good luck to him. And he is a first ballot Hall of Famer no matter where he goes, because he is that damn phenomenal. We had Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn. It's a very tough spot with a WWE Championship match, almost as the bathroom break of the show. And I say that very lightly because it wasn't really necessarily a bathroom break, but every show needs one. And considering the format of these 4-match PLEs that WWE has been doing, it's almost necessary to maybe have one more match either in the middle or just to break that up. Not that you have your WWE Championship match almost considered as the bathroom break. The fans, however, did not react that way. We had Drew McIntyre beat Sami Zayn to retain the WWE Championship. Overall, it was a very middle-of-the-road title match. It definitely had its big fight feel. But in the end, Drew McIntyre is on a reign of terror. And the underdog, Sami Zayn, did everything he could to try to pull up an upset, but it just was too much. Then we have Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan finally wins the Royal Rumble after coming so close for how many years. She finally pulls off the upset. And I think that is the right decision. Granted, there are many different women that you could have slotted in to win that Royal Rumble, but I feel like she, out of all the competitors in there, was the most deserving to win the Royal Rumble this year. What does she do at WrestleMania? Well, she can either challenge Stephanie Vakir or Jade Cargill. However, I feel like if WWE is smart, which I believe they're going to go this route, it's going to be Stephanie Vakir versus Liv Morgan at WrestleMania. So we are going to dive into all things Royal Rumble. We are going to talk about the ins and outs of the matches, things that I noticed, and we'll talk about the directions of certain superstars within these Royal Rumble matches, because it seemed like there was some little bit of storytelling throughout both Rumbles. So once again, thank you guys very much for joining me on the Saturday evening. This is the SpectreVerse podcast. If you are new here, please hit that subscribe button, turn on that bell for notifications. Make sure you hit the like on this video. We are currently live, and the only reason I'm going live is because I want to get this page out in the open. I want to try something different. Normally I don't go live unless I'm gaming, but I feel like tonight, as far as building a foundation for what I want the future of this channel to look like, I need to go live here to hopefully get some new eyes on this channel and kind of put my name out there a little bit as far as the IWC or the YouTube wrestling community, whatever you want to refer to this as. And that's the only reason I'm going live. For those of you that do not know who I am, my name is JABEATS. I also go as the Spectre Jaden Mercer. I'm currently a professional wrestler as well. I'm currently out with injury at the moment. That's why the SpectreVerse is a thing. And that's a little bit about myself. Like I said, please hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications. Feel free, the chat is wide open. Let me know what you guys think of what happened on tonight's show. You can go ahead and follow me on Twitter. That's at JaRaSpectre. You can follow my Instagram as well, at JaRaSpectre. If you guys are a fan of what you see, feel free to subscribe to not only this channel, but you can follow the SpectreVerse on both Twitter and Facebook. That is at the SpectreVerse. Anytime I go live playing video games, any sort of weekly podcast that I do, we just getting this bad boy off the ground. Feel free that any sort of videos you see will pop up on my Facebook and my Twitter for the SpectreVerse as well. So let's go ahead and let's get right into what happened on tonight's show. The beginning of the show, we had a very cold open video package. WWE does a phenomenal job when it comes to video packages. Anytime they have a production of any sort, they will create what almost feels like mini movies, which I appreciate, and just the story of the Royal Rumble. So we got another traditional cold open with the video package. Triple H is the narrator. And the one thing I don't want to gripe on it too much, but I feel like Triple H is trying to make himself the center of attention when it comes to these shows. Granted, it's nice to know who's creating all these things, but at the same time, like we saw last year, if it's not going well, all the criticism is going to come onto you. And I feel like WWE is now at that point where it's just like Triple H wants to make himself, and there were news years ago about TKO wants to make Triple H their Dana White, in a sense, when like how he is with UFC. He's the head of UFC. Everybody knows this, and they want to make him front and center. Now, I appreciate that. However, I feel like between the Vince McMahon and the Triple H era, Vince never always made it about him, especially towards like when I was a kid, when I was, I want to say 4 or 5 years old. So that must have been like anywhere from the mid to late 2000s going into the 2010s. All the video packages were about the wrestlers and the history of the Royal Rumble. It wasn't Vince narrating anything. It was always just, you had some sort of movie introduction to get you hyped for the Rumble. I don't need Triple H to get me hyped for the Rumble. I don't need him to get me hyped for anything anymore. I appreciate that he is the creator and the head of the creative offices, but I don't need to see you all the time. So that's one very, very small gripe. But other than that, the video package was very well done. And it kicked off. As soon as that was over, we got a grand shot of the stage and the stadium that was built down in Riyadh. And I will say the stage and the setup tonight looked phenomenal. WWE does a very, very, very good job when it comes to stage setups and making every show feel big and important. Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, your weekly shows, it's a little bit of a toss-up, especially because you see the same thing so often. It's weekly, so you're so used to it. However, with these big shows or a Saturday night's main event, everything feels a little bit bigger. Like there's a little more importance to it, and I appreciate that. I will say, though, building a stadium in Saudi Arabia within a few weeks, that is a feat that they should be very proud of. That is absolutely shocking that they literally a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, it was a parking lot, and they built that entire stadium within just a few weeks. So kudos to them. It looked phenomenal. I will say, though, because in the nosebleeds, there were lights attached to what looked like every seat, and it made for a great lighting atmosphere as far as like when the wrestlers made their entrances. But however, I don't know if it was because of that, it looked like up in the nosebleeds, like the show looked like the crowd was half empty. And that was a little like, okay. But then once they started making the announcements and, wrestlers started coming out, it didn't sound empty. But because they had the lights on every single chair, like half of the arena, especially from the middle up, looked empty. So maybe that's something they can reconsider, especially going into Chamber and WrestleMania, is maybe only do those lights when you're not in between matches and stuff like that, just only for entrances. Because especially if you're going for those wide shots, it doesn't look like anybody's in the nosebleeds. It just looks like lights. So it's definitely something to consider. A very, very minor detail, but overall, the stage looked phenomenal. We started tonight's show off with the Women's Royal Rumble. And I'll give a brief rundown of what this Rumble was. The first half of the Rumble was, needless to say, it was maybe passable at best. The second half of the Rumble saved that match, because the first half I was like, oh boy, what are we in for? And then as like maybe number 15 and almost going into number 20, I'm like, this is like really sloppy and just there's nothing here. And then from that point on, then everything started to pick up. We got some great talent in there, and the faces really started to show themselves, which is great. So I'm going to go entrant by entrant, and we will just kind of discuss just a few things that I noticed personally. And then I was also taking notes on the entire match, just things that I noticed as things went on. So entrant number 1, we had Charlotte Flair. And entrant number 2, we had Alexa Bliss. Now, people that have been following WWE for a couple months now, they're a tag team. And they're best friends. So it's like, okay, it's Royal Rumble. It's any person for themselves. What's going to happen? And the first, because I believe it's 3 minutes before the third entrant comes out. So it seemed like they were about to like tease throwing each other out. But then it would always end up with them being friends. And it's like, okay, now let's wait for number 3 to come out. Number 3 was Kiana James. And she had no pop for number 3. Her shine was all right. I could definitely tell, considering she came from NXT. So this is probably her first or second biggest show being a part of WWE. So I could tell there were some jitters there, just by basic movements and stuff like that. Like, you could tell she was very much out of her comfort zone. But I mean, overall, she looked fine. Number 4, we had Nia Jax. She came out and people were like, oh boy. And just the way she moves and just everything she does, it's not all that good. Like, her beals that she gave to Alexa and Charlotte, those are the shittiest fucking beals I think I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's funny enough because the Saudi crowd is actually kind of smart, because they started chanting, "You can't wrestle," which is true. She is not a very good wrestler. She is a great body that can be a world champion if needed. However, when it comes to checking all the boxes that make a Hall of Famer or even just a great wrestler, she can only check so many boxes. Number 5, we had Ivy Nile. She came out to the "You Suck" chants because of the Kurt Angle-esque character that she plays. Very quick shine. Number 6, we had Lola Vice. She had a very good shine. Obviously, this is NXT call-up as well. Overall, it was very quick, but what she did in there was very solid, so I will give it to her there. 7, we had Candice LeRae. She just immediately gets in and just starts trying to throw people out. Ends up teaming up with Nia Jax because they had some history as a tag team a while back. I think it might have been maybe a year or two, maybe even more ago. Number 8, we had Jordynne Grace. She came out and looked dominant to start. And I was like, okay, here we go. She ends up eliminating Candice and Lola. And then she uppercuts Ivy Nile to eliminate her as well. So she's already got 3 eliminations. Number 9, we had Becky Lynch. She came out and she had a standoff with Charlotte. It seemed like the brawl, because they almost broke out into like a hockey fight. That looked sloppy as hell. And they brawled outside of the ring by going underneath the rope. So technically they're not eliminated, but they're just brawling on the outside. And then before Becky Lynch even came out, Charlotte ended up eliminating Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss, who were both hung up on the apron. Number 10, we had Sol Ruka. She impresses me more and more the more I see her. She was very impressive. Her shine was, she did not miss a beat at all. She was right where she needed to be. I think she is a star in the making, and I believe WWE knows that too, considering they had her going as far as she did. Number 11, we had Roxanne Perez. This was somebody that was the Iron Woman last year and got down to the final 2 and just came up a little bit short. So this was on some people's list to win it this year, considering how well she did. However, that was not the case this year. She had a very solid shine. This is where we started getting some "this is awesome" chants for Rumbles. And anybody that has been in a Rumble or just knows what the hell they're watching, Rumbles, for the most part, is you get some people's shines in, and then from there on, it's pretty much a schmoz fest until you get to your sequences. And I believe that really started to show, especially around this time, because when you got X amount of people in there, you can only do so much without getting in the way of anybody else that's coming in and out. So, number 12, you had Maxine Dupree. She targeted Becky Lynch immediately. She had a pretty okay shine. Number 13 was Natty. Makes sense because she just turned heel on Maxine Dupree. They're continuing that story. Maxine and Natty go right at it. Maxine locks in an ankle lock on Natty. She takes a manhandle from Becky, and Becky throws out Maxine. And then Natty eliminates Becky Lynch immediately after. So Natty's starting to look a little strong in this, which was great to see. And I will say the character of Natty and how much she has transformed what she does as far as an in-ring character from when she started versus now, it almost seems like she's gotten progressively better over time, and people are like now really starting to appreciate how good she actually is, which is great to see. Number 13, we had Liv Morgan. She came in and immediately, gave an oblivion to Kiana James right off the rip. She does the 3 amigos and the shake for Dom, which is great to see. She ends up fighting with Jordynne Grace on the apron and ends up just teaming up with Roxanne Perez in between. Next, we had number 15, who was Lash Legend. Now, I will be completely honest. I only knew of Lash Legend, from a little bit of NXT. I kind of stopped watching NXT for a little bit, but I knew that she was really decent as far as, like, she had a great in-ring presence and she can actually kind of move, which is great. But by God, she really showed off, especially within the last couple of weeks, that, you know, she is a star in the making. Double choke slams. She points to the WrestleMania sign. She fights with Jordynne Grace on the apron and then ends up eliminating Jordynne Grace, which that was a shock because I honestly thought that it was going to be Jordynne Grace's year to go on to Mania and fight Jade Cargill. Not the case this time around. We'll see what the Elimination Chamber holds. I'm assuming Jordynne Grace is going to be in the chamber. Maybe then she could get a win. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. 16, we had Zelina Vega. She came out to absolutely zero pop. And from what I saw, she looked very slow and stuttery. She pretty much just eats a power bomb right as soon as she got done doing her shine from Lash Legend. 17, we had Raquel Rodriguez. She had a pretty good shine. She's definitely improved and progressed at a very nice pace over the past couple of years, so that's been great to see. She ends up teaming up with the Judgment Day, Kiana on the apron with Liv and Roxanne, and she eats a boot from Raquel, so Kiana James is now eliminated. Number 18, we had Chelsea Green. Crowd is absolutely in love with Chelsea Green, and I think it's great that we have some sort of character that always will pop the crowd, even if they're supposed to be a heel or a baby face. Chelsea can do both. She's awesome. So the crowd is singing her song as she walks down to the ring. She tries to team up with the Judgment Day. They end up just attacking her. Number 19, we had Julia. She just came in, did a bunch of shoulder tackles, tries to do a bunch on Raquel, but no bueno, and then ends up eating a shoulder tackle from Raquel. Number 20, we had Io Sky. This is where the shift in the match starts to happen. So pretty much from number 1 all the way to number 19, it seemed very, very sloppy. And then once Io came out there, then that's where business started to pick up. Things started looking a lot more smoother, a lot more crisp, which was awesome. Io got a very nice pop, very good shine. Number 21 was Asuka. Her, Io, and Julia square up. So all the Japanese women they kind of got like that little 3-way triangle circle going on, which was fun. So as they square up, she ends up teaming up with Julia to try to take out Io. Just ground and pound stuff. Number 22 was Rhea Ripley. She came out to a huge pop. Big Rhea chance breakout. She steps in the ring and Chelsea Green is there to meet her. And she looks, and then Chelsea does the salute to her. And then Rhea does it right back. And then ends up eliminating her right immediately after. Julia then eliminates Zelina Vega. Roxanne eats a razor's edge from Rhea onto the outside after everybody's eliminated. And now Roxanne Perez is officially gone. Then we had number 23, who was Bayley. She had a pretty okay shine, had a chop fest with Charlotte Flair. Kind of seemed like she didn't really have much, if that makes sense. And Bayley's great. Don't get me wrong. She is definitely great. But there was something about it that it seemed a little weird. And I don't know if it was a timing on her end or a bunch of people just out of place. But either way, it was fine. Number 24 was JC Jane. She had a very solid shine. NXT chance breakout. She had a very good sequence between Natty and Rhea. Liv Morgan ends up eliminating Natty with the Oblivion off the apron, which was nice to see. Number 25, we had Nikki Bella. Came out to a nice pop, but rightfully so. You're a Hall of Famer. And she goes at it with Liv Morgan. 26 was Lyra Valkyria. And she had a very fun and good shine. She's very, very underrated. And I'm glad she's kind of getting put in that position now where she can start to slowly rise up to the top of the women's division and kind of be in that, hey, I can be a main eventer too spot. So she's kind of towing that line between main eventer and mid-carder. Right now, she's still officially a mid-carder, but I can see her slowly starting to go up on the stock. Lyra eliminates Julia with the help of Bayley. Number 27, we had Kaylani Jordan, who I knew really nothing too much about, but she came out and did a Phoenix Splash right away. And big NXT chance breakout. And it was very cool to see. She had a very good shine. She's definitely someone to keep an eye out for in 2026, maybe even 2027. Number 28 was Kairi Sane. She had a pretty unique shine. Teams up with Asuka. And then as the match slowly starts to progress before number 29 comes out, she accidentally eliminates Asuka. And the Kabuki Warriors are just like, oh my God, what just happened? What do we do now? But that's part of the Royal Rumble. Everybody knows that. Not sure if they're going to tease a breakup there or if it was just by accident. I guess we'll have to wait and see. My guess is it's probably just going to be the latter where it's just, oh, it was an accident. I didn't mean to do it. And nothing will really come of it. 29 was the big surprise. We had the return of Brie Bella, which she got a huge pop for. It was a great sight to see Brie. She still looks great. She came out and she was doing the yes kicks like Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryan. And the Bellas end up hugging in the middle of the ring. A nice little moment for them. And then number 30, we had the return of Tiffany Stratton. Definitely came out to a nice pop, a nice ovation. Did a very good shine, and she squares off with Charlotte. So at this point, this is where the match really starts to break down. The Bella Twins go after Lyra and Bayley. JC Jane ends up eliminating Kaylani Jordan. Soul Snatcher from Sol Ruka out of nowhere and eliminates JC Jane. Lash Legend then eliminates both the Bella Twins. Charlotte and Lash are on the apron. Lash Legend ends up eliminating Charlotte. And at this point, the Saudi crowd is starting to chant overrated at Lash Legend, which, I mean, as a heel, I mean, that's definitely doable. I don't think she is overrated, at least as of from what I've seen. Then Lash and Io are hanging on the bottom rope. Legend heel kicks Io Sky and eliminates her. The overrated chants now get louder. Rhea and Raquel square off, and Rhea lines Lash Legend out of the ring. Lash Legend is now eliminated. Raquel then immediately eliminates Rhea Ripley. Liv Morgan ends up immediately after that eliminating Raquel Rodriguez. That was a big reaction, big pop, because Raquel and Liv are members of the Judgment Day. Is that going to cause more tension between the group? I'm going to say yes. I feel like the Judgment Day has seen its last days even a year or two ago. I think it's finally starting to come to an end, especially with what Finn Balor's doing. And hopefully this is just the start of the end for the Judgment Day. At this point, it is now Liv, Tiffany, and Sol Ruka who are the final three left in the Rumble. Sol Ruka hits a double Soul Snatcher on both of them, and she tries to throw everybody out. Everybody's hanging on the apron. Sol Ruka is in between both Tiffany and Liv. She kicks them both, gives them both a knee. They're both still hanging on. She eyes up Tiffany and goes for a Soul Snatcher on the apron. As soon as she jumps up to go for the front flip, Tiffany pushes her off, and then Liv Morgan comes flying in and hits an Oblivion by sitting on the second rope on the apron and flings Tiffany Stratton off the ring and off the ring apron. Liv Morgan is your 2026 Royal Rumble winner. That was a great ending. A lot of very fun hope spots, and everything looked crisp. Everybody looked like they were safe. So definitely overall, that second half really saved the first half of that Rumble match, because at this, like I said, from number 1 to number 19, it was not looking pretty. But that second half of the match really ended up saving it for them. Like I said in the intro, I believe Liv Morgan is going to go after Stephanie Vakir for the women's title. I don't think she really has anything to do with Jade. I feel like Jade's going to have her own row of competitors as far as the Elimination Chamber goes. So save that for Jade Cargill and have Stephanie go against Liv Morgan for the women's title at WrestleMania. Overall, it was a very fine Royal Rumble match. I would give it, if I had to rate it out of 10, it would probably be a 6.5, maybe. It was fine, but that ending really ended up saving it. The next match we had was AJ Styles versus Gunther. If AJ Styles loses, his career is over. The fans came and they were very, very loud, because as soon as that graphic was announced, they got loud. Gunther enters first. The fans are singing Gunther's song. I'm so fucking thankful that WWE brought back Gunther's old song that he used as Walter. I feel like that just fits his character so much more, and it gives the crowd to interact with him still as a heel, while still, like, that song, the way he just comes out and he struts, like, it just screams aura, but in a sense where this is a killer. Like, he may not look like one with that big robe on, but when it comes time and the bell rings, this guy is going to murder you. And the crowd was very hot from the jump, like I said. Then AJ Styles comes out. They were singing along with AJ's theme as well. Definitely great to see. I was kind of like keeping an eye on his entrance just to see if there were any cues that it looked like it could have been AJ's last match, because they played this storyline off perfectly to the sense where people really couldn't give a definite answer as to would he retire yet or not. And there were a few indicators, like the match against Shinsuke, the match against CM Punk. It really started to make people second guess, like, oh my God, is AJ actually done? Like, I'm not ready for AJ Styles to retire yet. And as he came out, he did his big entrance, big pyro everywhere. And then that's where I saw a quick glimpse on the face as the camera's panning towards AJ, and you can see just a little bit of water. And I went, oh man. So at that point, I was like, I could kind of get an idea that I think I know where this is going, but at the same time, you still don't know. And they played that off perfectly, like I said. This match has got to be one of the best pacing matches that I feel like WWE has done for a while. I think the last real time I think I've seen anything kind of as electric would have to be, I don't want to say Punk and Drew at Hell in a Cell, but it's got to be up there. Maybe, I wouldn't even know. I was thinking Reigns and Rhodes, but I think that match is just, everybody's going to have that on such a high pedestal. But I would say Punk and Drew in Hell in a Cell would have to be pretty much right where this match is. The pacing of this was perfect. And I mean perfect. Like, they started off very slow, a lot of chain wrestling, and the way these guys have, you can always tell when two competitors have just great chemistry. It's like they don't miss a beat. They're always right on cue. And that was Gunther and AJ Styles tonight. Everybody hit their spots at the perfect time. There were no like dull moments. It was always just, it wasn't quick and speedy and fast like the shit you see on AEW, but it was like as soon as a big spot was about to happen, it happened, and it happened without any sort of mess up or anything. And then they would let it breathe. And that was beautiful. Like that's the shit that we're taught as wrestlers, is you let that shit breathe and then you do something else and then let it breathe, and you do something else, let it breathe. So this match is definitely a match for a bunch of young and up and coming wrestlers, or people that want to become wrestlers. Study shit like this. Like I said, they started off real slow, great pacing. AJ gets a nice big shine. Cutoff knocks AJ Styles out of the ring. Gunther's pacing as a heel is phenomenal. He always knows when to wreck shit and then let it breathe and go get some heat from the crowd. And he literally, all he has to do is just stare off at them and they just boo like crazy. It like, that as a heel is like what you strive for. Gunther hits some nasty clotheslines, a shotgun drop kick, and a power bomb. Anytime AJ Styles would fight back, he would go for the leg. And I believe that was part of the storytelling in this match is, okay, they're going to make a call back to the calf crusher. So that was a nice cue. Like, okay, target the leg, go for the calf crusher. He tapped out to it, even though the ref never saw it last time. Go for it again. Gunther then gets hooked up in the calf crusher. While in the calf crusher, he reaches around and locks in the sleeper hold on AJ Styles. And AJ flings him outside and then hits a phenomenal forearm to the outside. At that point, if I were AJ, I would just try to get back in the ring and hopefully it ends in a count out. But nope, AJ as the white meat baby face, he's got to go out, get Gunther back in the ring, and then continue from there. AJ Styles goes up. Gunther meets him up for a superplex. AJ slips down in between and gives a power bomb to Gunther for a very nice 2 count. Then hits a springboard 450. Right after that, follows it up with the Styles Clash for a very close near fall. AJ goes for the phenomenal forearm. It gets reversed. Goes for a sleeper on AJ. AJ reverses into a sleeper on Gunther. Gunther finds the referee, grabs him and backs him into a corner, and then delivers a low blow to AJ Styles, with the ref being distracted by Gunther right in his face. And then from there, he hits a beautiful powerbomb on AJ Styles for a very, very close near fall. Violent chops then to AJ Styles. Anytime Gunther would just be smacking him right in the face, booting him right in the face. Just very unprotected shots. They looked freaking brutal. And then he would let it sit and tell AJ to get up. Get up, you old man, get up. Then AJ would get up and he would do it again. Just violent chops, kicks, just beating the man down. And he almost broke the 5 count at least 2 more times after that. And then finally, AJ Styles gets up and he starts giving some nice little flippers back, some beautiful forearms, just trying to beat down Gunther a little bit more. And then AJ gets to the apron. He goes up for the phenomenal forearm again. And as he goes, he gets caught into a sleeper. And then this was the beginning of the end. I love how Gunther is able to tell a story with the sleeper. He's able to get you captivated with such a simple move like the sleeper hold. He's got it locked in like a snake's grip. AJ starts to fight up a little bit, and then Gunther just elbows him right back down, back to the sleeper hold. AJ starts to get close to the ropes. Gunther rolls him back over, not any closer to the ropes. AJ is now reaching for the ropes, and as he's about to get real close, just like how my finger is with this camera, he goes and he's just about to hit the ropes, and then his hand goes down. The ref is yelling, AJ, AJ, are you there, AJ? And he lifts the hand up twice and then calls the match. AJ Styles' WWE career is officially over. The crowd was silent. You could hear a pin drop in that built stadium in Riyadh. It was beautiful. Just like when John Cena retired back in Saturday night's main event, the exact same reaction for AJ Styles here tonight. Gunther is officially the career killer, and WWE made it very known that they're going to make this their nickname as well. We got a Derpy 501 ST2. It says, say his name and he appears. No Joe Hendry tonight. Not at all. Which was actually kind of very shocking. I was at least anticipating a cameo or something from Mr. Joe Hendry. And there was nothing. And we'll get into the men's Royal Rumble match here in a little bit. But the question is AJ Styles going to continue wrestling? Or is he officially done? Like I said in the intro, I think he is done. I mean, the man is what, 48 years old? Almost, he's just about 50. He has, at this point, he has nothing left to prove. He's done it all. Killed it with TNA and put them on the map. You went to New Japan and he put them on the map. He put Bullet Club to newer heights when he became the leader. And then he came to WWE. And how poetic is it that 10 years ago he debuts at the Royal Rumble, and 10 years later he officially retires at the Royal Rumble. And within the 10 years that he was at WWE, the dude is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Lord knows what he's like for a New Japan Pro Wrestling or a TNA. Hell, if he goes to AEW, it would just be to get some dream matches out of the way. I personally don't think he needs to do that. It would be great to see him. Obviously, I don't think anybody wanted him to retire as early as he did, and nobody was quite expecting it, but I honestly think he should just call it a career. Go hang out with your family in Georgia. That's just my personal opinion. You have nothing left to prove. You are an all-timer. And it was very beautiful to see him end on such a high note in WWE, as well as just seeing and looking back on his career as a whole, if he is officially done. Dude has nothing to hang his hat on other than putting out some of the best bodies of work that only so many people can dream of. So kudos to him. Kudos to Gunther. Those two had one hell of a match, and I will for sure be praising both of those competitors for as long as I need to. The third match we had was Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre for the undisputed WWE title. Like I said in the intro, they need to add at least a fifth match, because this match was considered, I wouldn't even say considered, it in my eyes, it felt like the bathroom break. Every show needs a bathroom break for the fans to kind of just get up, move around, go get more food, go use the bathroom, something. It shouldn't be like that for your WWE title match. That's just my personal opinion. But overall, the fans were still invested into this from the get-go. The pacing of this match was a little bit different because, I mean, you had to be different considering the traditional style that we got with Gunther and AJ. So it was very back and forth all match. Like I said, less traditional styled pacing. And Drew McIntyre immediately just started targeting Sami Zayn's back. Drew had the upper hand for the majority of this. The business really didn't start picking up until Sami Zayn hits the Blue Thunder Bomb for a very close near fall. Drew McIntyre calls out for the Claymore. He misses, gets rolled up. There's a kick out. Drew then hits White Noise off the second rope for a 2 count. Sami Zayn is now in the corner, and Drew McIntyre hits some running lines at him. He gives him 2 good running clotheslines. And as he retreats back to the corner that he was running from, Sami comes charging in for a haluva kick, misses, so he's stuck in the second rope. Drew McIntyre hits a Claymore for a 2 count. Drew then starts to argue with referee Charles Robinson. While doing that, Sami Zayn hits a haluva kick out of nowhere for a very close near fall. Drew then puts Sami through an announce table. Shortly after that, the officials are checking on Sami, making sure he's all right. Drew McIntyre pulls him up off the table, tells all the referees to fuck off, rolls him back in. And he goes to pin him, kick out. He stumbles to the corner. Drew McIntyre comes charging in, gets caught with an exploder. This is where we're about to see the big haluva kick. Here comes the big upset. And then he goes for the haluva kick, eats a Claymore right off of full speed coming from the corner, and then is followed up by another Claymore. 1, 2, 3. Drew McIntyre retains the WWE Championship. I knew Sami Zayn didn't have a shot at winning this. If anybody thought that Sami Zayn was going to win the WWE title tonight, you are a fool. And you should double check on what you know about wrestling. Not any hate on Sami Zayn or anything, but it's not his time. Needless to say, it is not his time. Drew McIntyre is on a reign of terror, and I feel like he deserves to hold the title longer than just a handful of weeks. And that's just my 2 cents on it. And finally, we have our main event. We have the men's Royal Rumble match. I will say the first half of this match definitely gave me flashbacks to the 2020 Royal Rumble when Drew McIntyre actually won the Royal Rumble, because БЙБ was a man on a mission, and it was very, very cool to see. We love БЙБ here. And speaking of БЙБ, he was the entrant that drew number 1. And then from the pre-show that the announcer said, Paul Heyman and Adam Pearce ended up announcing that Braun Breaker drew number 2. And so БЙБ comes out, he makes his entrance, he waits for Braun Breaker, everybody knows it's Braun. Braun Breaker starts coming out. As soon as he's about to enter ringside, he gets attacked by a man wearing all black. He's in a black hoodie and a black mask. And immediately I'm like, oh, I know who this is. Everybody knows who it is. It's Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is back, and he's back to take out the people that took him out of the vision. And so Seth Rollins, he is throwing Braun Breaker into the ring steps. He then hits a super kick, and it is followed up by a stomp. If that stomp was any indication, you should know that that is Seth Rollins that was in the black hoodie. And then he immediately throws Braun Breaker into the ring, and the bell rings. Obafemi immediately clotheslines Braun Breaker out. Braun Breaker is eliminated from the Royal Rumble. At this point, I'll be completely honest. I was in a Royal Rumble money pool, and I had number 2. And I also had Braun Breaker winning this thing. And as soon as he got eliminated, I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. And I was like, I knew as far as the story went, I was like, hell yes. Braun Breaker has his match against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Signed, sealed, delivered, take my money. But as far as money goes, I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me, man. So Obafemi is the only one standing in the ring. Heyman and Braun Breaker are pissed. They end up just going to the back. Number 3 was Solo Sikoa. He's going out there. He exchanged some blows with Oba. And Oba gets a really big shine on him. Number 4 was Rey Mysterio. He had a pretty good shine. I will say, though, you can definitely tell Rey is up there in age because, boy, it looks like he's having a hard time moving in there. And I feel for him because he's supposed to be the high-flying lucha that everybody loves, and he still gets that love, but yeah, it makes me wonder if his time is going to be up here shortly too. Number 5 was Rusev. He had a very short shine, ends up immediately eating a 619 and gets eliminated by Oba. And then Obafemi also eliminates Solo and then eliminates Rey Mysterio after a 619 to the guts. Number 6, we had Matt Cardona. He meets an immediate clothesline from Obafemi. He gets a very quick shine, eats a power bomb, and gets tossed out. So this is where the flashbacks to 2020 start to happen. I'm like, oh my God, Obafemi's going to be what was Brock Lesnar back in 2020. He's just going to run through everybody. Number 7, we had Damian Priest. Damian Priest finally gets Obafemi rocking, makes Obafemi take his first bump. Number 8, we had Javon Evans. He was the Iron Man of this year's Rumble. He had a very impressive shine. He can definitely bounce, and he can move very well. Especially only being 21 years old, he should be fine, barring any major injuries. I will say, though, I wish he would put on a little bit more muscle, because I know his body is going to be needing it, considering the crazy bumps that he takes. So, something to look forward to down the line. He is definitely a star in the making, like I said in the beginning. But he came out there, he was bouncing all over the place. It was very fun to see. Number 9, we had Mr. Iguana. When he came out, I was like, okay, is this... I knew we were going to have some sort of ha-ha moment. And I was like, I guess it's going to be Mr. Iguana. But you're telling me, and for a person that I don't mind comedy in wrestling. However, when you look back at all the names that were in the Rumble this year, you're telling me you couldn't find a spot for Finn Balor? You couldn't find a spot for him at all? And like little things like that are just baffling to me. That some of the people that they chose for the Rumble were in there versus literally anybody. So, but that's just, it's a very minute thing, but I was just like, he didn't have to be there. I mean, he served his purpose, but I'm like, he really didn't have to be there at all. Mr. Iguana comes out. His shine was very simple. It was, like I said, it was more of a ha-ha thing. Number 10, we had Trick Williams. He ends up eliminating Mr. Iguana. NXT chants break out when him, Javon Evans, and Obafemi are standing in the middle of the ring, which was great to see. Number 11, we had Mr. Homelander himself, Cody Rhodes. comes out for a very quick shine. He chucks his weightlifting belt into the crowd, and I swear, based on the reaction from the crowd, I'm not gonna lie, I started laughing, but I'm pretty sure he drilled a fan who wasn't really paying attention, because everyone in like the crowd from the hard cam was immediately like this. And I was like, oh, he must have just drilled a fan who was not looking, because I was like, oh shit, dude. Number 12, we had El Grande Americano, which we all know who is Ludwig Kaiser. And this will play into the next entrant. Number 13 was original El Grande Americano, which made people start to think, and the announcers were playing it up like, oh, wait a minute. But we all know that's Chad Gable. So the two El Grande Americanos are going at it. They pretty much went at it the entire time. Tried to rip the masks off of each other. My guess is they're going to do a mask versus mask match, which is fine. Number 14, we had Powerhouse Hobbs from AEW, aka now he's going by Royce Keys. He didn't get the pop I think people were expecting, but I will say it was a genuine surprise to see him in the Royal Rumble. Definitely a great introduction to Powerhouse. I'm curious if he's going to go straight to the main roster, or if he's going to be in NXT for a little bit, get his bearings, and then end up going to the main roster. Powerhouse Hobbs, from what I remember back in AEW, he is a menace, and he is very good, but it just, for whatever reason, they couldn't really find any sort of direction with him. So it'll be curious to see what they do with him now that he is here in WWE. He had a pretty good shine. Like I said, the spine buster that he does looks picture perfect every single time he does it. Number 15, we had Austin Theory. He had a very quick shine, and he didn't really do a whole lot. He was just there for business. Number 16, we had Bronson Reed. Now the Vision Boys are starting to show up. He immediately starts working with Austin Theory, rightfully so. 17, we had Ilya Dragunov. He had a very good shine too. We do love Ilya. I feel like his style, though, for the Royal Rumble doesn't quite fit nearly as good. He's more of like that, oh, I love pain and everything, but in these multi-man matches, I don't think it necessarily fully registered with the crowd there. And it kind of just seemed like he was almost out, I wouldn't say out of place, but like something just seemed off. I don't know. I can't really put what it was, but something just didn't seem right. Number 18, we had La Parka. Going back to the Mr. Iguana scenario, you're telling me that Finn Balor can be in one of these spots? Or another NXT guy? Or Carmelo Hayes? Or anybody? I'm like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing? So, but that's just my 2 cents. I understand they got to promote AAA, but I don't think it was necessarily needed for Rumble. But that's just my personal opinion. Number 19, we had Dragon Lee. He had a very good and clean shine. I think Dragon Lee is very underrated, but because he's, and this is going to sound really bad, but he's just another lucha guy. I know he doesn't work like one, but there's not enough substance with all these guys in the masks. And that goes for Rey Fenix too. And maybe even a little bit of Penta. Penta's kind of like that outlier, kind of like with like Rey Mysterio. Like, their personas are enough larger than life, but like a guy like Rey Fenix and Dragon Lee, they're all just kind of are looped together, which kind of sucks because I know how great they are. But I guess we'll see what they end up doing down the road with Dragon Lee. Be cool to get him into some nice spots with like Carmelo Hayes. I feel like that would be nice for him just to get some more momentum underneath him. Number 20, we had Logan Paul. He had a very simple shine. Bronson Reed and Royce Keys square up, and the Vision eliminate Keys, aka Powerhouse Hobbs. They also eliminate La Parka and Dragon Lee, so the Vision are starting to clear out the ring. Number 21, we had the return of LA Knight, who came out to a huge pop. And I will say, WWE is really making people lose faith that they're ever going to push the guy. I will say, I feel like he could have been in this match a lot longer than he was. And it's honestly very, very, very frustrating to be an LA Knight fan. Like, it's like one of those stories that organically got over, and will there ever be a payoff? I genuinely have no idea. But he came out to a very big pop. He goes right after the Vision. LA eliminates Austin Theory, and then he eliminates Bronson Reed too. Number 22 was the Beast, Brock Lesnar. Came out to another huge pop. He comes out with Paul Heyman, which makes me start to think, is the higher up that Paul is working with, is that Brock Lesnar? So definitely something to consider. Him also being like aligned with the Vision, I feel like would be kind of fun as like their final boss, if that makes sense. But that's just my 2 cents. I could be completely off with that. That's just personally what I would do. But that's neither here nor there. Essentially, Brock comes in and he does typical Brock stuff. It was Suplex City, F5 to Javon Evans. And then he starts eyeing up Obafemi from the opposite corner. Number 23 was The Miz. He slides in and sees that him and Oba are staring directly at each other. And Miz slides right back out of the ring because he's like, I want nothing to do with Brock and Oba right now. And then big brawl ends up breaking the two up. And that's where Miz slides in. And from there, Brock ends up eliminating Ilya Dragunov. So Ilya's gone. Number 24, we had Rey Fenix, like I talked about a little bit before. It seemed like he was just in a position where his number just didn't really fit for where he was at, and as far as like people that he could work well with, because he immediately comes in, tries a springboard, and gets yeeted by Brock Lesnar. Brock then superplexes, or not superplexes, he just regular suplexes Obafemi. He then gives the F5 to Rey Fenix. Rey Fenix is now out. Oba then gives a nice clothesline to Lesnar, and Lesnar ends up eliminating Obafemi. So it's just like, damn, you needed Brock Lesnar to get that man out of the ring. So Obafemi, he had a great performance tonight. He's definitely somebody to look out for. I'm curious to see if he's going to go to Raw or SmackDown. So to kind of bit of a toss up there. I think he can fit on either show, but it really just depends on who needs the star power the most. Number 25, we had Jey Uso. Took him 3 fucking minutes to get to the ring doing his yeet shit, and which was already fucking stupid. Like, I don't know what it is about Jey Uso, and I no hate to the man himself, but the yeeting and his entrance and all the run it back bullshit, it's so ridiculous and overdone, and it's not fun anymore. It worked a year ago. It doesn't work now. So, but that's just my personal opinion. I'm sure there's a lot of kids and a lot of other people that feel otherwise. For me, I'm just like, I'm over it. But like I said, he literally gets, Lesnar then gets eliminated by Cody Rhodes and LA Knight during the Jey Uso entrance. That was another thing of note. And then as soon as Jey Uso enters the ring, he does run it back and they play his music again. At this point, then Roman Reigns is number 26. He comes out to a huge reaction. He ends up shining up on everybody. He gives a big spear to Miz, tosses Miz out. And then Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes end up staring at each other. Flashbacks to WrestleMania 42 years ago. Number 27 was Jacob Fatu. At this point, I'm like, all right, now things are about to get a little bit of spice. Jacob Fatu immediately attacks Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes goes for tope suicida through the middle rope. Eats an uppercut from Fatu. Fatu pulls him out. So now he's not technically eliminated, but they're both brawling on the outside. Ends up getting him back in the ring. Just attacking Cody Rhodes. And then from there, him and Roman Reigns have a stare off. So possibly teasing a match there. Cody then attacks Jacob Fatu from behind and ends up staring back at Roman Reigns during all of this. Number 28 was Penta. Comes out. He has a pretty great shine. And then during his shine, Cody Rhodes eliminates LA Knight. I was pretty pissed about that, and I know a lot of people were too. Number 29 was Randall Keith Orton. He came out, very typical Randy shine, vintage Orton, RKOs to everybody. And then number 30 was the career killer himself, Gunther. And when he came out, I was like, there's no fucking shot, right? I'm like, is he really going to retire AJ Styles and win the Rumble? I was like, if that is the case, that's a huge fucking feather in the cap for Gunther. And it builds him up more as a killer. But realistically, he's retired 3 people already. He doesn't need to win the Rumble right now. And thankfully he didn't. But he did end up making it to the final 2, which we'll talk about here in just a second. So at this point, all of the competitors are now in the ring. Evans gets some good shine against the Stars. Like I said, he looked great tonight. Big RKO out of nowhere when Javon Evans went up for his cutter off the top rope. Ended up turning into an RKO out of nowhere. Randy throws Evans out. Goodbye, Javon. Penta then goes for his turnbuckle dropkick, and Gunther yeets him over the top rope. Penta is now eliminated. Drew McIntyre eliminates Cody Rhodes from the Rumble match. I believe Cody was caught up on the apron, and then Drew ends up pulling him over the top, pretty much costing Cody Rhodes the WWE title. So my guess is it's honestly going to... I feel like Cody's going to win the Chamber. I feel like they're going to go that direction, which makes me think, and we'll talk about this towards the end here in a second, what does Roman Reigns do? I think we have a clear indication as to what it is, and I'm not upset about it whatsoever. So, just to wrap this thing up here, Roman ends up tossing Jacob Fatu out with the distraction with Drew McIntyre because there's that history between Rhodes, Fatu, and Drew. Roman then eliminates Jey Uso. Roman then eliminates Logan Paul. Randy gets thrown out, and now it's down to Gunther and Reigns. There's a little bit of back and forth fighting the sleeper hold, and then he eats a spear from Roman, and Roman throws him over. Roman Reigns is your 2026 Royal Rumble winner. What he does at WrestleMania, I think it's very, very clear. Either direction can work. He can fight Drew McIntyre, and nobody will have any complaints about it. However, the story between Roman and Drew, I feel it could work, and there is a history between the bloodline and Drew McIntyre and how many times Roman has costed him over the years. Like I said, either of these scenarios can work. It's which one is WWE going to choose. Drew and Roman have this long-term history that spans about 5 years or so with COVID and then the rise of the tribal chief and how many times the bloodline has screwed Drew McIntyre over the WWE Championship. Could Drew McIntyre want his revenge with Roman Reigns? I could see it. Will they do it at Mania this year? They could. I don't think they're personally going to do that. I think they're going to go option B, which is Roman Reigns versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. The story between those two is those two never liked each other. And when they had the team up at War Games, it was all Paul Heyman's idea. He's out of the picture now. So what does that look like? I personally think he's going to go Roman and Punk for your main event of WrestleMania. And I don't think anybody should be complaining about that. That match is going to be electric. But that is going to do it for this 2026 Royal Rumble review. I hope you guys hung out and enjoyed. If you did, please like this video. Feel free to hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell for notifications. Follow me on Twitter at JABEATS. Follow me on Instagram at JABEATS. You guys can follow the SpectreVerse on Facebook and Twitter as well at the SpectreVerse. And honestly, that's pretty much all I got. So if anybody is watching this and wants to throw their 2 cents in, feel free. I will stay here and chat for about a minute or so before I head out of here. But overall, I thought tonight's show was a very good show. I would honestly give it about a 6. I would say it's about a 7 out of 10. I thought tonight's show from top to bottom, I thought it was very, very solid. Yeah, I would give it about a 7 out of 10. But honestly, that's probably going to do it for me. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and we will see you all next time. So until then, which will probably be on the podcast this week, we will see you all then. Once again, thank you very much for joining me. Peace out, everybody.
Summon the Spectre. Summon the Spectre.